Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's your man, Fat Man Buddha, and we are back again with another wonderful video, a great subject. A couple of things I want to get into before we continue with these videos. Yes, these videos, the teachers in these videos are Pan-Africanists. Yes. I also have a lot of Pan-American teachers in here too. So you can't sit here and get caught up on small details like that. Otherwise, you're going to miss the whole message. You understand? You're going to miss the entire messages if you're caught up on something like Pan-Africanism. You have to understand that when these teachers made these videos, it was back in the 80s, it was back in the early 90s. But you have to understand that even though there were two principles of thought, one saying that we were Aboriginal and the other one saying that we're from Africa, they never once um, let it get in the way of hearing what the other person had to say. You understand? So don't get caught up on the whole, oh, he's a Pan Africanist. Why are we listening to a Pan Africanist when we know we're from America? We're listening to him because he has more information than you. We're listening to him because he has more information than me. We're listening to them because a lot of their information corroborates with the progressive thought that a lot of us are having. You understand? We're here, we're listening to them because all you new conspiracy theorists who think that all these conspiracies are just so brand new, we've been talking about this stuff for 50, 60 years before you even came on the scene and even agreed to it. So why are we listening to somebody who is proud to be Pan-African? No, I'm not Pan-African. I am clearly a Geechee. Okay, I am clearly a Geechee. You see, I am clearly a Geechee. You feel me? I am very clearly a Geechee. But why are we um listening to them? Like I said, because they have more information. A lot of the information collaborates with our information, and it makes for a better picture. Did you hear what Stokely said? Not Stokely. Cooley said. You know, um, today's video is going to be the pretext to the Saturn, and I have a great video on Saturn. Hopefully, I'll be able to drop that today. But it's about Saturn, and it's also about the continued thought, the continued Masonic thought of our invaders, and how they usurped our power. Okay, I will be putting people who have informative channels in my description simply because I'm not the only one giving information out here that's to help us. You know, if I can find them, I'm gonna add them. If I forget you, my bad. I watch a lot of these people videos. I would love to have a discussion with these people. Um, because like I said, bro, I've been doing this a long time, bro. I just now started to refocus and start putting this on camera, 3D action. Start putting this on camera, and I feel like this is a great time to do so because hell, it's almost over with now. It's almost over with now, and a lot of us need to have that discussion of what do we do afterwards. So, without further ado, without any more delay, ladies and gentlemen, the great Phil Valentine.
you that the towers themselves were built on a vortex to be destroyed in this time. Because in the background, you will notice two towers. And beyond those towers, what do you see? The sun, representing what? Light and a new day, a new dawn. So, how does the Illuminati circumvent your ability again to have a sigil? You look at the back here and you will see that this is, forget all of this. These are the symbols to make them recognize where it is they're going with their information. The 5, we're going to get to later. All of this information is symbolic. You know that the Pope himself is entreating death. Death going to step on his ass too. But on this, you will see that this is where you are to keep your focus if you are initiated. So if you look at the horizon, you will see that the Illuminati has already circumvented the intuitive sigils that the new time is going to broadcast to you through the DAC code transmissions. You will always be receiving new data for the new time. But if you want to control somebody, you want to make sure that they do not have the ability to access those codes. So what do? You put up symbols that interfere. And again, you see the one who was running for president, his company.
The one-armed bandit.
The one-armed bandit. Yeah. True that. Now, we have accomplished half of the journey. That is, to the final cycle of darkness, to the 9th gate of chaos, where humanity is now participating in a pathological indulgence with its own self-destruction. The choice from here on is spirituality. It is prosper, spirituality, or perish. And this is the problem. The great question now becomes, as we stumble through this maze of madness, will we be cogent enough to recognize or calculate the codes of redemption in time to save our own asses? In fact, it may be more safe to put the transition time for our planet at 2010 through 2024. The Olmec Mayan calendar Aztecs say, and I quote, this is a quote from their prophecies, "Know that for 5 full cycles of the dawn star, the rule of the warlike strangers would grow into greater and greater orgies of death and destruction. Also, remember well what I have taught you, and return not to the ways of the serpent and the sacrificers, to the eating of flesh and the drinking of blood. This path will lead only to the final destruction. Know that the end time will come in 5 full cycles of the dawn star, for the cosmos is eternal and never fails. For 5 is the number of the earth being 8. Now, the dawn star is what? Venus. Venus is who? Lucifer. Venus cycles the earth every 104 years. You take the 5 cycles mentioned earlier and multiply them by 104, and you get 520 years.
That's important because the phoenix is a bird that has a 500-year relationship. Mythical African. 500 years seems to coincide from 1492 to 1992. The dumbest people on the planet in 1492 thought the world was square. They were so dumb.
These 520 years, according to the Olmec calendar, comes due 2012. The number of the earth frequency is 8, thus the 8-pointed star. Now, the number 5 is actually the difference between the 8, which is the number of the earth, and the harmonic number 13, which is the number of the children of destruction.
Washington, D.C., go to Freedom Plaza on 1400 Pennsylvania Avenue and look into the ground of Freedom Plaza are big seals. And you will see the original seal from the 1700s and the reconstructed seal in the 1800s that made that a bald eagle and not a phoenix. And you will then see the coding of the 13s, and the 13 mentioned 13 times. Okay?
The number 5 is the number of the children of destruction. The word earth, and here's what you have to understand. The word earth is actually to mean the destination of all things manifested in matter through the agency of the 4 basic elements. This is the secret of Solomon's temple. The word earth, as we use earth, has nothing to do with the planet. The word earth is all that is manifested. Everything that is in material form is earth. Just because you don't see legs sprouting out of the planet does not mean that it is not conscious and is happening right now to be evolving. So when you look at the word Solomon, you will see that the central 4 is expressed as the first mathematical number from which all elements of the spirit and the numbers 1, 2, and 3, the next harmonic 4 being the vibrational matrix of matter. So what you are looking at here is that 1, 2, 3, 3 representing the first closed circuit. The first closed circuit in the etheric plane, the plane of fire, thus coming down into the realm of matter, all 3 of these being the preliminary numerics that drop into matter, into the 3rd density realm when the 4 elements comes due. But overstanding, and I'm giving this to you in the beginning before we go forward. The number 4 is the pivotal integer in the numerics of the word Solomon. It also represents the inner sanctuary of every manifested temple in nature. The sum of each couple, 8, or the first principle of containment, is the cube. So if you double the 4, and this is just giving you preliminaries. If you double the 4, you essentially end up getting the cube. The cube is the first containment for which all the elements on the higher plane and the lower plane come together to create 3rd density. And that's where you get the 12 apostles from, because the 12 apostles that come together to create the 13th, which is that circle within the middle, that gives us our point of reference for 3rd density. You count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It becomes the structure that brings together the cube. Those particular parts are called the 12 apostles that actually framed or brought Jesus, Jesus supposedly brought them together to create manifested density in matter. Now, 8 equals the number of all the elements manifested, thus the number of earth, the container of all elements. Now, the ancient Olmec said, when they have polluted the earth, this is another one, to such an extent that the number of earth becomes as 13, then in that moment shall they be no more. Again, the difference between the earth harmonic 8 and the so-called Christ harmonic 13 is 5. In numerical frequency of Solomon, we find that Solomon represents matter as perfected being, as expounded in the Hermetic doctrine, where the 4 consonants symbolize the evolution of matter through the 4 objective states. Now, we told you that 5 was the number of the children of destruction. On the higher metaphysical realms, what does that mean? If you look at Solomon and the consonants of Solomon,
Rolling the law. Counsel, tell me if this is so, that you just went to jury duty When you go to court, you raise your right hand and you say what? I do solemnly swear. Now you ain't arbitrarily swearing on Solomon. It is for your understanding.
SLMN, it breaks down into the objective states of being. The objective states of being are mineral, vegetable, animal, and human. Objective means that which is expressed. Subjective, which means that is which is impressed. If you look at the Temple of Solomon, and we are looking at creation as we look at Solomon, because Solomon never existed, Solomon simply is a metaphysical principle. If you look at the dynamics and the mathematics of Solomon, you will see 1, 3, 5, and 7.
This Masonic thing is interesting because in Washington, D.C., they have what's called the House of the Mother Supreme. The House of the Mother Supreme is the headquarters of 33 states. The Masonic Scottish Rite is drawn up into 33 states for the South and 17 states for the North. Now, why is that? I don't know. The 33 states in the South headquarters is right there at 16th Street in Washington, D.C. Of course, everything there is coded. The steps go 3579, their phone number 3579. When you walk in, you look right on the lights. Every light got a picture of Hermes on it.
But you will see that what they mean is that the children of destruction are on which realm? The animal realm. Dealing with their lusts, their immediate physical, egotistical gratification. They have not yet ascended to the cycle that gives them the pivot, that gives them self-realization. And all of those who are in Circle 7 know what I'm talking about. The energy itself, with the consonants and objective states of being, means that all of the vibrational levels, from mineral to vegetable, right now, everything from this point here is being destroyed. Symbolically as well as intuitively. And if you follow through or follow them, no matter how frightening and how mad and crazy it gets, if you follow through with the beast and pick up on the 5 harmonic, you're going down with them. And the only way that you will find yourself is if you submit to this. The prophets go on to say, the dream shall alter as our Father in heaven, Hu Nabku, has a plan. A great plan that cannot be altered. There shall be a shifting, a great shaking, and all things shall be touched. Even the stones, and in a moment there shall be a newness and a great swelling of light that will fill the heavens and block out even the light of our own sun in its brightness. And the world shall split, all will in the heavens in that moment. And in that moment you shall be where your heart is, and for time as we know it shall be no more. Time as we know it shall be no more. You can read about this in Robert Ghostwolf's book called Days of Destiny. Another good book that you need to read is called A Monument to the End of Time. A Monument to the End of Time by Vincent Bridges and Jay Wiedner. Now, this was found in a small place in France. It's called the Hendaye Cross. It's in a little village called Hendaye. And I'll get into it the next time because it's very complicated, though it speaks to what is happening right now. This is what we're on it. These are the symbols. You have something erected in France that has Olmec Mayan carvings on it. What were they trying to say at that particular point? On that particular cross, down here being the part that you see here, that's the sun. Well, actually, this is the way it is. This is the sun. This is the moon. Look at it. These are the four elements, and that is the earth. How many points? 8, exactly. Now, do you see something familiar on that cross? Procter and Gamble, Procter and Gamble knows what time it is. The beast knows what time it is. You don't. Y'all keep running the damn church, looking at a goddamn cross that ain't got nothing to say. What is happening is that the Olmecs came here to establish a time frequency and a portal of consciousness. And this is where all the shit, the clearing, all the fucked up things that's going to be happening to us as a people, this is where it's going to do the purging ground. Africa ain't doing shit. Africa ain't doing a damn thing except becoming Christian. Africa ain't doing a damn thing except becoming Muslim. Africa ain't doing a damn thing except becoming Jewish. And until they start wiping out all of the old dead carcasses that keep walking into them damn churches, you will continue to suffer for not going through the portal that is being created here for you, because the shit's gonna close up. They are trying to shut down the consciousness that is necessary to keep the portal open. By what? Yeah, but you see, there's two different types of fear. I told you that fear is false evidence appearing real, check? But you know, fear is also flat earth analog relativity. What was the Europeans' concept of the planet? Flat! How the hell are you going to look up at the earth, look up at a full moon and think the earth is flat? That's where his mind is. He's in a flat earth analog. What's an analog? Something that imitates. Something that likes something. So he has created an analog relativity with his virtual reality that you now sink your consciousness into, called the web. And you have taken your attention and put it into that reverse I have Heru, which now gives you information rather than tapping you into your spirituality. I can deluge you with shit, man, and that thing has so much information that you could never in your rest of your life tap into it. But that's the distraction. If we don't take what we do find there and convert that shit and then shut it down, and then maybe another month maybe come back to see where we at, then what we are doing is we are lockstepping into the flat earth analog relativity that they're structuring for us. And we have become lockstepped into it. Now, having begun our journey from a metaphysical tip, I will now take us through the present trials that we as dream walkers and dream changers and dream makers face. These trials are just the beginning. If you focus your second attention and even your third attention, you will see that the trials are coming in sequences. The more desperate the acts of the beasthood, the stranger, the more potent the response of nature. Therefore, beloved, there will be, and in your second and third attention is a focus. You will discover in that focus that the one who is truly conducting the campaign of biowarfare on us is the planet Mother Earth herself. This ain't shit. There ain't no real biochemical warfare. It's what we are trying to do, because the true one that's going to conduct the biochemical warfare on us in the next 10 years is Earth Mother. And you're going to see war like you ain't never seen before. Coastlines are going to disappear. You want biowarfare? You're going to get it. And here's why I'm going to say it. And why do I say this? Well, let us stop for a moment and access the language we are being given to define the present moment of this crumbling paradigm. When we say biowarfare, what is implied? The word bio is Greek for life. The prefix denotes living things, biology, biographical. The definition of war is as follows: a state of open armed, often prolonged conflict carried on between nations, states, and parties. A condition of active antagonism or contention. To be in a state of hostility. This is where the earth is going. So when you hear the word of the media and the government state that there is a threat from biological warfare, a logical pairing of the two words would mean hostility, antagonism, or conflict with life. But the technical definition given by Webster is even more succinct. Biological warfare is warfare in which disease-producing microorganisms or organic biocides are used to destroy livestock, crops, and human life. There ain't a biological weapon created by man that's going to do the shit that the biological weapon created by nature is getting ready to do. It would appear that from the technical definition, the Caucasoid, by his very presence, and his very culture, his very mindset is toxic to our environment. What type of mind, what type of thought process, what type of psychotic dementia would conceive and implement methodical steps to turn aspects of life into weapons of death, except a diseased mind? In naturopathic medicine, the therapists work with the patient to help the body bring the disease to the surface. For the past 500 years, a disease within the human genetic strain has been slowly rising to the surface. And finally, in these last days of our present consciousness paradigm, we see him at last. Rejoice, brothers and sisters, our healing is at hand. The spirit body of man is in its final stages of healing during this time. We will witness trauma, catharsis, but we will be healed of this disease. He will be purged from the spiritual, genetic, atomic, and molecular fabric of material being. And why? Because he has now put out information that he can't have babies no more. Why is that? In the meantime, we are here as dream workers to examine the body human and learn from what it is that we see as the mistakes of ignorance and the aggrandizement of ego. Look carefully at this recessive action, this white man, this recessive action towards Nature Mother. 1, his campaigns of vaccination. 2, his contamination of the soil and thus our foods. 3, the torture and traumatization of innocent, gentle animal life. 4, mind, body, and soul control. I repeat, mind, body, and soul control through the church, government, and the education system. 5, the systemic and purposeful dismantling and mutilation of that divine fabric of human life called the family and the community. 6, the contamination and pollution of the two most basic, essential things to human life, the air and the water. Plug this in for me, please, brother. And lastly, as we speak, the militarization. You took it out? You took this out. Let's push that up. The militarization of outer space, the frequency wars being conducted on us to undermine and cripple higher consciousness, and the intent to alter the genetics of humanity to create a more docile and compliant slave. Is biological warfare new? No, sir. The earth has always been cleansing herself of organisms that are detrimental to her evolutionary imperatives, no matter how simple or complex. And this Caucasoid and his diseased being will be no different. The devastating consequences of this multi-psychotic, multi-leveled attack against the four living foundational sentinels of life, fire, air, water, and earth will be the response of Nature Mother herself. The Earth Mother is in fact a living, breathing, consciously acting and reacting organism of cosmic intelligence that is also going through its own personal evolutionary consciousness. Oh, give the mic over there. Because it is alive and conscious, it not only acts but reacts to conditions that would threaten and destabilize our own harmony. When you have done something to the body of and its intelligence, atomic intelligence, cosmic intelligence that reacts to align you is under universal law. As your atomic intelligence is aligning you, you experience symptoms such as headaches, runny nose, palpitations, fever, chills, even skin eruptions or growths. At the present time, this is comparable to the symptomatic representations or stages experienced by this earth. The final combination of psychic traumas, wars, suffering, cruelty, echo rape, and other heinous crimes and violations against both man and planet have become chronic. Brothers and sisters, we have now entered the time of the great dying. Let me repeat that. We have entered the time of the great dying, as predicted by our ancestors. You see, because we are in the final stages of this paradigm, the light that once fed and sustained its existence is rapidly fading. Let me say that again. There is a light that surrounds our planet, and there's a light that surrounds you. There are certain people that do certain kinds of work that automatically causes their light to become amplified.
Teach it, brother. Teach
that energy is leaving, and this planet is slowly getting darker and darker. Give big up to my two C's, my son and my daughter over there. That's my future.
Right? Yes, sir.
Understand that who you are, the more you encompass light, the more you affect the people and circumstances around you. If you go to work where you got dull-ass people, you can feel how different you are. Because your light automatically shows you the difference. People who know what effects that they have to other people around them have a tendency to affect people in such a way that those people hate you because you agitate a cleansing in them. You cause them to want to go shit. You cause them headaches, and they don't know why. But you are working their nerves just by your presence.
Absolutely.
And just as equally, when somebody who's fucked up, dead, a succubus, drone, zombie motherfucker, you can tell. Because when you stand next to them, you start getting sleepy. And you don't want to talk. Your voice starts getting druggled and shit. It's like a vampire sucking on your neck. Well, I'm saying that to tell you this, that those people who are of the light, they're leaving us. All these mass deaths are people who carry specific lights, and the earth is getting darker and darker. Those of you who have synchronized yourselves with that light, those of you who have become addicted to the spasmodic energies emanated by its death throes, will also find yourselves losing your light. The more light that fades, the more light that leaves, the more evil that crystallizes. This is why it sometimes appears to the light workers and dream walkers as if nothing is changing, despite their hard and dedicated efforts. All of this is due to the fact that the source of this retrograde paradigm, its life essence is dissipating. Remember, The paradigm that we're living in is a conscious light that you feed from and then feed into. The light from the dead paradigm has no more life in it. It's like sucking on the bottom of a soda bottle trying to get that last bit of soda that's off in the corner. There's nothing left of this dead-ass paradigm. There's nothing left of religion. There's nothing left of politics. There's nothing left of education. So the more you suck on that shit, the more dead you become. The weaker you become. You cannot feed your light in church. I don't give a damn how much you excuse. Oh, you know, they got a few things in there that you may want to... Bullshit! All of them are vampires. You cannot go to church and find your light. In fact, that's where it's being sucked on. Why do you think that dead-ass man, white man, on the cross there, how do you think he keeps being alive? Because spiritually, when you walk in that place, he's sucking your life force. Anybody ever see that flick, Life Force?
Yeah.
Check that flick. Check Life Force. Now, what's left are the burning embers. And those who have sustained themselves on it are scrambling in their spiritual death throes to feed on what's left. We, on the other side, must identify ourselves with the new incoming light source, the new code for atomic and molecular consciousness. This particular light source feels faint, but it is strong, like the sun on the days after the winter solstice. It's cold, but it's still bright. There is another light source that is feeding those who have amplified their personal power. Once you throw away all of this classicistic bullshit, stand naked. That's a ritual for everybody to do. Go in front of your mirror and stand naked. See what you look like when you first came out.
Right.
Without all the trappings. Take out your earrings and everything that put the personality of you in this moment. Because you have to strip yourself of everything that you have become before you can make the crossing. You cannot be quickened with old shit attached to you. Don't grab the TV when we switch, because you see, you're going to see different indications of the switch of the new paradigm. What's going to happen? Shit's going to fade in from the other side, and it's going to be floating in the air. You're going to say, oh shit, what's that? I ain't even high. Don't touch those things that are fading in from fourth and fifth, because your body is so polluted that if you touch it, you'll be pulled in with that shit, and you ain't ready for the other side. Know that you are transiting, and there are times when even at your highest peak, you're going to be forgetting shit. It's like, oh man, what was I just doing? Those of us who are transiting don't have memory of this time or anything that's acquainted with it. We're losing the memory of this time because the memory is based on the light that was fed from the old paradigm. If the old paradigm is going, then all the shit attached to it is going.
That's right.
So stop worrying about your memory and thinking you're getting Alzheimer's. In fact, Alzheimer's is an indication, the fact that it's rising is an indication of just how dead the paradigm is becoming. Because the light source necessary for logical thinking, gone. And that's exactly what the education system, what religion, and all that shit does to you. Just because you got a whole lot of facts in your head, don't mean you ain't Alzheimer's. Just because you're going to sit before a professor who look like he know his shit, don't mean he ain't Alzheimer's. Because he got a bunch of dead facts in his head. At this time, people like ourselves represent a skeleton crew. This is a skeleton crew, left behind to act as the receptors for the incoming paradigm, to guide those who are yet to awaken, those who are yet to be born into this new frequency harmonic. Truth be told, the Galactic Confederation is at this time seriously considering the merits of even keeping this planet in its present location, whether to just destroy this shit or move it. Because its proximity to other neighboring and overlapping dimensions and harmonics, is polluting them with all of the disruptive and discordant thoughts based on hate, fear, egocentrism. The first pollution is thought pollution. And the atmosphere around thought pollution must be stinking to those who are on higher realms. And every time we cycle, remember, just think about the fact that in our sun, and we're moving around our sun, but our sun is moving around something else. And that we are moving in, and that when we moved into that meteor shower, the meteor shower was coming here, we moved into it as it was passing this way. So the whole solar system is moving into a whole other position where all of the thought processes that created what it is that we are now trapped in today are dying. By the year 2007 or maybe even sooner, indications of just how sick and disgusting our planet has become in its psychic fabric will begin to become evident. You, my brothers and sisters, will begin to see the symptoms of our diseased planet manifesting on the surface in the form of unique, never before identified funguses and mosses. Listen to me carefully. They will begin to anchor themselves first in our forests, then in our foods, and then on our skins. As all mosses and fungi are creatures that manifest in darkness, their appearances will be more than symbolic of the fact that the Earth Mother is losing her light. Listen carefully. You're going to find mosses growing in places where moss never grew before. Once these new life forms take hold, they will mutate according to the psychic conditions that presently prevail on the planet, and thus form an intelligence of their own. Listen carefully. This will obviously be a disaster to all the vegetation, as well as to the lower animal life forms, and eventually up the food chain to humanity itself. There will be no medical quote-unquote cure. Tens of millions will die. These funguses will look like spider webs, and they may very well be life forms that were created. They mutated once brought into contact with this ecosystem. They are the children of the cloudless clouds of death. In fact, over the past 7 to 8 decades, biologists, anthropologists, and environmentalists have been discovering animals in the wild who have been mutated in their forms. These are the advanced guard to many breeds of new life forms that are due to appear. New life forms for new Earth situations. The metaphysical consequences of our planet in the wake of all this thought-based madness engulfing our planet is that discordant, resonating energy configurations or vibrating templates which are acting as portals are allowing certain life forms, certain etheric life forms that exist on peripheral dimensions to enter into this realm. These etheric life forms are finding entrance through resonating genetic pathways into physicality. Let me say that again. They are finding their way through resonating genetic pathways into physicality. They have the ability to do this due to the diminished light envelope decaying around our planet. Just as you feel that a fly or bugs or what's that thing? Maggots form around dead things? Well, that's what's happening consciously. Consciously, on the metaphysical realm, on the etheric realm, we have maggots forming around this planet, and they are life forms that are yet to manifest, and these are the life forms that represent just how dead our spirituality is. Most of these new organisms will be created by the joint effort of a psychotic scientific oligarchy and the ulcers that form in our planetary light field as a result. This extra-dimensional etheric life forms are low-energy life forms, parasitic in nature, attracted to our own ulcerated spiritual resonance. The same way that flies and mosquitoes are attracted by filth, decay, and the stench of stagnant water. Now, I hope I've whetted your appetite, because before I review and expound upon my last seminar, 9/11, I would like to touch upon another aspect of biowarfare that the victims who participate willingly in, and that's the use of cellular phones.
Break it down.
My brothers and sisters, first realize that the cellular phone is broadcasted on theta wave bands. They found out that the theta wave band is what thought, that's the band that thought uses when you think. The reason why they found that out is because you used to have something called UHF and UHV, VHF. When you switched to that, people would call and complain of hearing, when they're not in the room or when they're outside, stations going off in their head. When the theta wave band is being used, it is being synchronized with the same band that thought uses to communicate to itself. So you think that it is coincidental that they got rid of the theta wave band and put it on the cellular phone band? Now I know that cell phones have become as necessary as breathing to some of you guys. And if your work is about competition and time sensitivity, it's mandatory. So I think I should at least let you know what's happening to you each time you use one. As you know, the cell phone transmits a microwave signal in intermittent bursts from its antenna to a relay station. Sometimes these relay stations are many miles away. The farther the phone is from the tower, or if your phone is in a car, if your phone is in a building or in an elevator, the more power your phone is told by the tower to send out in order to keep you connected. Check that. The tower tells the phone, boost more power when you're indoors. Now, depending on how close your cellular antenna is to you, you should be aware that as much as 60% of the microwave radiation penetrates your head and is actually absorbed by your brain tissue. 60% of a it's like putting your head in a microwave oven.
Every time.
When a good cell phone is in operation, its intermittent signals can cause visible disturbances to a computer. And you will see it on the screen, depending on the proximity you are to that computer. It is a biological weapon of the most insidious kind because it quietly induces incurable diseases that are presumed to be genetic or of unknown origin. We don't know what happened to them. Diseases that will not be detected for a considerable period of time, like cancers, tumors, infertility, so-called suppressed immune disorders, and significant DNA damage. On September 5th, 2001, the London Independent announced a study by Lenhart Hardell, a cancer specialist at Örebro University in Sweden, to be published sometime before the end of this year, showing that the use of mobile telephones for more than 5 years were 26% more likely, and using them 10 years or more made you 77% more likely to develop significant sized brain tumors. And get this, the tumors were 2.5% or times likely to be on the same side of the head that the phone was usually held. Now, in keeping with the above and the topic of wave pollution, from microwave pollution to sound pollution, toxic sound, especially with sudden loud noises, machines, traffic lights, traffic, dogs barking, toxic music, which create a reaction like anger or anxiety, restlessness or annoyance, makes that noise toxic to your system. Toxic sounds interfere with your body's natural bioelectric rhythms. This can lead to disease and entropy, insomnia, paranoia, eating disorders, learning disorders, chemical imbalances, and disruptive behaviorism. On the subject of toxic music, the four elements have a voice. Together they constitute the W-O-R-D, or the voice of God. Ocean waves roll to the pulse of water with harmonic tones that resonate through the entire sound system and spectrum, creating a soothing blend. Dolphins and whales sing out messages with voices that reverberate our planet's frequencies. Birds sing their melodies in tune with subsonic tones carried by the breeze. We as humans laugh, cry, talk, cough, and sneeze in tones that reflect the physical and emotional conditions of our bodies. Check? From the time of the so-called Industrial Revolution, our natural world has become more and more estranged from us. Noise pollution became an accepted term as we gave into the onslaught of fast-paced living. Slowly, we became numb to the awareness of nature and natural sounds. Now, the woods frightens the shit out of us. More and more, houses have complex networks of electromagnetic wiring and inaudible electromagnetic fields zapping us without our knowledge. Some people living near power lines, exposed to 60 cycle hums of electricity, eventually become accustomed to that sound, oblivious to the detriment to their own health. Besides our ears, our body feels sound and noise as vibrations, and all vibrations are rhythms of life. Let me say that again. All vibrations are rhythms of life. Our heartbeat, our breathing, the way we blink our eyes, even the way you register the sound of my voice and the pacing of my words as I speak to you, all are done in rhythms that correspond to our body's vibratory flow. Our bodies are interactive vibratory transponders, resonating, like Stevie says, in the key of life. So, sound is a biowarfare weapon, and it is most definitely deployed against the population in commercials, against our children in the music, the movies, and very subtly in the children's programming as well. Books that you need to read to check this out. Form, Sound, Color, and Healing by Theo Kimball. Music, the Keynote of Human Evolution by Helene. Sound Medicine by Laine Garfield. And Vibrations by Virginia McIvor and Sandra LaForest. Sound, and I'm speaking to the young brothers and sisters here, sound is a weapon. That is why they colonized your music. The music was a weapon. And as I said earlier, it changed our rhythms to a 4/4 beat, took it out of the heart synchronization. But you see what was so beautiful about it is that our rap brothers, our hip-hop brothers and sisters who were speaking the mathematics, when they gave you the 4/4 beat to synchronize you, you went into your genetic archives and came out with rhythms in your rhymes that counteracted that toxic type of beat. So when you rap in syncopations that Miles used. You rap in syncopations that Bird used. And that's why I say to the young brothers and sisters to listen to the ancient African classical music that they call jazz. Because in it, it will unlock something inside of you that keeps you apace, synchronizes your heart back to its actual beat, the beat of health, the beat of spirituality. Now those of you who are ready to hear about 911 update.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Thank you for making it all the way through to the end of the video. If you're watching this, you are definitely at the end of the video. And, just thank you for sitting down, having an open mind, and taking in this information. It was definitely a lot of information. One of the points I wanted to add, which I'm probably going to put in the video anyway, is what I found out about the Hendiah cross. It was actually a tomb. It's also a tombstone that reads, "Here lies the last alchemist." So for all you people who know Full Metal Alchemist, you already can understand what that means. Another piece of information that I was happy to discover is the Masonic 1357, because that was something that had so many variations that I really didn't, I really couldn't find the answer to it the way that I really wanted to. But this was, you know, whenever you can't find it yourself, go to the old sometimes and ask, and 8 times out of 10 they'll know. Um, of course, one being minerals, three being vegetables, five being animals, and seven being humanity. I pretty much feel like that's an evolution chart. And now you can see why this whole Darwin theory was adapted so strongly. And it was adapted because it followed the harmonic frequency of creation. They think that we went from minerals to a vegetable to an animal and then became human. You know, um, the harmonics of creation are a lot more various than that. If um, if humans came from animals, why are there still animals here? Why aren't there more hybrids than ever? You know, another thing that we discussed that was very interesting was the fact that the Olmec cross was in France. Of all things, you have the Olmec cross in France, even though it was a tombstone. It's the fact that it was covered in Olmec symbols that really needs to get your mind thinking, like, how vast was the Olmec Empire? You know, because we always secluded the Olmecs to either coming from West Africa or being on the west side of South America, pretty much. Um, so I think that it's very important that we no longer seclude empires. Even if it wasn't a legitimate empire, like we would think of it as being having a king, having servants, a castle, so on and so forth. It's the fact that you find these symbols all over the place. Another thing that I really want to discuss is the whole aliens versus spirits conversation. That's another thing I want to have, because we need to stop calling aliens, stop calling spirits aliens. You know, he pretty much sat here and told you, this is the end of times, and this is what the end of time looks like. It looks like various uh it looks like various things that you're not used to coming here, and you'll see them all over the place. Like, it's been increasing a whole lot more than people think. Um but at the same time, I'm starting to feel like maybe they're using the theta waves from the phone to encourage images. Does that make sense? Like, if the theta waves on your phone can read your mind and put it on a sound frequency so they can read your mind. And people used to complain about hearing radio frequencies in their mind. If they can remember that old Futurama TV show, remember that episode of Futurama where Fry went to sleep and he literally dreamed about a commercial. Like he literally dreamed about a commercial, then woke up the next day and he went out and bought something where he dreamed. If they can implant commercials in your dreams, then wouldn't it make sense that they can implant images in your conscious mind for you to see these spirits? You know, it's like the more that I really find out spiritually, the more I feel like, you know, we are already dead and we are the survivors of the apocalypse. And for some reason, we keep on reliving it. Like I really feel like we just keep on reliving everything. And it's strange to finally say that out loud. Um, all these Mandela effects, I feel like all these Mandela effects are man-made. Not forget, like it's once you understand that the whole, uh, once you understand that the Earth itself, planet Kai, is literally conducting uh, biochemical warfare, it starts to make sense. Like all of it starts to make sense. The reason why, the reason why they're burning the forest the way they are, the reason why the animals are attacking, the reason why trees are starting to walk around, the reason why they been spraying chemicals in the air. Think about how long they've been spraying chemicals in the air. They've been spraying chemicals in the air since the 80s. That's how long the Earth has been slowly going on the offensive. So I don't know. I don't know. Hearing all that, hearing how uh, what was that made in 1999, 2000, and everything he said has been correlated throughout the entire last 10 years. He has not missed yet. He has not missed at all. So when he says that it's the earth itself conducting a biological warfare and that it's going to be the earth itself to spread disease, you have to really think about that, man. You have to really think about all these strange animals coming up that we thought was just random beings. Uh, a production was just a production of nuclear fusion. All these new flowers popping up. Beaches are starting to glow again. So yeah, yeah. But anyway, as always, man, I know that went on a little long editing, but again, thank you, and always, man, just be at peace, man.